So you're wanting to make over $2,000 per shoot, and you're wanting to make it a really successful, flourishing business. I get this. I understand it, because it's exactly the same idea that actually formed in my head when I first took up my photography and created my photography business. Hi, my name is Melissa Mills. I am an internationally awarded professional photographer, a personal branding photographer. I've been a CEO twice. I am a guest speaker, and I also am a personal branding consultant. And my goal is to help you become the best version of yourself on your terms. Let's start back with why you actually wanted to create a photography business. Usually, 9 times out of 10, what will happen is that you pick up a camera and you instantly fall in love with taking a photograph of a moment that will never be replicated, and the excitement of being able to craft something exceptionally beautiful, or to just it just like really lights you up, and then you start to get really creative about it. Yeah, 9 times out of 10, you are naturally a creative as well. If you are wanting to create a business in photography, you're going to need to know this really, really important thing. People will pay you what you believe you are worth. Let me repeat that. People will pay you what you believe that you are worth. Because here's the thing, when we are first starting off in the photography business journey, we start off in the shoot and burn genre. And that is, we go in, we take these amazing photographs of people, and then we spend all these hours going in and doing all this editing and all this work on those photographs, and then we give them everything, all the digitals, in excess of like 200 photographs, and we get paid $250 to $300 per shoot for that. But here's the thing, if you want to continue doing that, you will burn out very, very quickly, and you will become very resentful of the craft, your clients, and then yourself. And I don't want you to be that way. I want you to be hugely successful. I want you to have an incredible business that you absolutely love and brings you joy, and you cannot wait to get into it every single day of your life. So let's talk about the actual self-value part of stuff. It's a really, really, like, it's going to need continual maintenance on the self-value, and there are a number of ways that you can start to really hone in and focus on that, lifting your self-value, so that you can feel that confident and comfortable with what you are actually charging for your clients. When I first started out, my self-value was really, really low. Even though I'd gotten myself to a CEO position twice, I still didn't feel that what I was actually producing was of any worth, and would never be worth, in excess of like $1,800 or $2,000 or even $5,000 jobs. But that was my own thinking. That was my own internal thinking. That was because in my mind, I'd equated that having a camera and taking the photos, the difference in between wasn't much. The thing is, that difference in between is actually a lot when you actually start to break it down. And if you want to really see what the difference is, then I highly suggest that you sit down and you start to do your cost of business if you are wanting to run a business. So let's start to look at the breakdown of what a cost of business would be for a photography business. You would be paying your mobile phone bill. You'd be definitely paying, if you have a studio, you'd be paying studio rent, you'd be paying electricity, you'd be paying for water, you'd definitely be paying for a website, and then the hosting of that website. Obviously, if you wanted to build up your equipment, the longer that you got into it, you'd be paying for equipment. You'd be paying for products if you having products in your packages, and then you've got not just the products, but then also the delivery on those products. Then you've got licensing as well as the subscriptions that you'll have. So you'll have Adobe, you'll have an email, you'll have the website hosting, like I said before, you'll have different trainings and courses that you'll need. Awards and accreditation is a great way if you wanted to build up your reputation. Awards and accreditation would need to be added in there. You have your CRM program in order to manage your clients and your clientele. You would need a financial software. And that's only just that side of it. This is all before you go and pay yourself for your time and your services. And on top of all that, you'll need to pay tax. The taxman will want his cut from whatever it is that you are actually making, because it is generated income, yeah? So when you start to look at it like that, like all of these costs that are involved in running a photography business, you have two options. You can either keep it as a hobby, or you can start to really charge what you are worth, because of not just that, but because you're worth it. Like it doesn't, it's not a free service unless it's done by somebody who is not a professional photographer. If you want to consider yourself as a professional photographer, then you need to start charging your work. The thing is, when you start to sit down and you start to look at your numbers of what it takes for you to run a business, numbers will never ever lie to you, ever. Numbers are just plain facts of how it is. That's it. People may lie, but numbers will never lie to you. Okay? So once you've actually sat down and you've looked at what all your costs of business are compared to what you are actually bringing in per client, and you cross them across, then you come, I'm betting that you will actually come out with a negative figure at the end, which, like I said, would not include paying yourself or paying tax. When you do your cost of business and then you look at, okay, I need to, in order for me or in order for you to be a successful, thriving business, I need to charge this to cover these costs, as well as my time and my services, as well as pay my taxes that are due and owed. Let's talk about what is your time worth when you're adding into the cost of business. So what is your time worth for being away from your loved ones on weekends? What is your time worth for missing out on family events? And what is your time worth for not being able to attend any social events that you'd actually like to go to, whether they be, you know, a friend's wedding or somebody's 50th anniversary, you know? And then what is your time worth not being able to do or any creative pursuits for your photography that you are wanting, right? When you start to ask these questions of yourself, it really makes it very, very clear of what your time is actually worth. And that I know myself, I am not willing to give up my weekends for any client unless they are paying $600 per hour for my time. And because that is the time that they're taking away from my family, from my loved ones, from my grandkids, from my husband, and time that I'll never be able to get back. And that's really, really important to me. So if you want me for a weekend, you're going to be paying $600 per hour for that, because that's exclusive time that I've allocated. And sometimes I will just say no, that I don't do a weekend. I refuse to work a weekend. And that's perfectly okay too, because I value me. I value my time. I value myself. Very, very big, very, very key in the industry of actually not just photography, but in business itself, if you were running a business. So how do you go from the shoot and burn photographer over to the profitable professional business and photographer? Like I said, you need to sit down and you need to write out what your entire cost of doing business is. You then need to work out what is your time worth. Then work out what amount of tax you will be needing to pay. In Australia, the tax is 10%. GST is the tax that we pay. In other countries, I'm not exactly sure, but in Australia, it is 10%. Once you have that, those two figures side by side and laid out, the bottom line is that is the beginning of your cost of, that is the beginning of what your fees or charges should be worth. If you were looking at, say for example, it costs between, $2,500 in order to run your business for 1 month, okay? And at a minimum, you could have one client for $2,500 to cover that, just those costs. Now, if you want it to be profitable, then you need to make more than that in order to be profitable and put away, money for a trip or for savings. Ideally, if you can get anywhere between three and four clients per month on that bottom line figure, think of the amount of profit that you'll actually make, and then think about like where you could actually then utilize that money, whether it be in further courses for yourself to upskill your knowledge and upskill your photography itself, or working with your clients, getting a business coach to help you level up in your business. All of this stuff you're going to need to pay for, and it is really, really key and important, because like I said, you will either, if you are not willing to do this work and do it in order to be run like a professional business, then you will burn out. You will become hugely resentful, and you will lose the love of the craft that you have for your photography. And then for your self-worth or your self-value, some things that you can do are, like I said, you can, start some education or seek out some education regarding self-worth and self-value and what that is, yeah? You can start to write down and journal your notes or your thoughts and really make them very thoughtful questions about, like, why do I feel this way about money? What is it that is, it could be something from your childhood that was, something from maybe your grandparents or your parents that was just constantly said, but it may have been said in like a flippant type tone, like, i.e., money doesn't grow on trees. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have actually heard that, and things like that can actually be deeply ingrained in your idea of your own self-worth. And when it comes to money itself, if money is the issue of you wanting to accept money with gratitude and with gratefulness from other people, definitely go and see a therapist. I've done that myself. I am not ashamed to admit that. Seeing a therapist for me, was a way of getting out all of this program thinking that I had from my childhood and from growing up, and really getting it out and having somebody else help me to decipher what that all meant and how that is impacting my life and what I needed to do in order to move forward. I would never have been able to do and become a lot of who I am and what I do in my business had I not started down that path of therapy. So therapy shouldn't be anything negative. In fact, it's very, very positive, not only for yourself, but definitely for your mental health. You can definitely seek the skills of a business coach as well to help you with your business and your self-value, and they can point out to you ways that, like, areas where you might be deficient in your business, or areas that actually need your attention, areas that you may need to outsource in order to give you more time to spend with your clients. Yeah, things like editing. I used to be really, really tight with my editing and wouldn't allow anybody else to do it but me, because I wanted it to be, it's my creation. I held it like a baby. I didn't want to let it go. But it's perfectly okay to have somebody else do your editing. I do that now. Somebody else does my editing, because now that frees up at least a good minimum of 2 hours for me to go and engage with my clients, find new clients, or do some marketing and promotion for my business. Yeah. And finally, remember this, I just wanted to circle back to the very first question that I had asked at the beginning, which is, people will pay you what you think you are worth. So if you think that you are worth $200 for 6 hours, 3 to 6 hours of work, then that's what you're going to get paid. If you value what you do and your time spent in a craft that you absolutely love and adore, then you need to charge what you are worth. Don't be afraid to say that this is my packages and this is what I'm worth. It's going to feel uncomfortable, definitely at the beginning. I know it did for me. It was hugely uncomfortable, and my voice shook like unbelievably shook, and I really second guessed myself. And the moment that I said it the first couple of times, and they were like taken aback and like, wow, that's a lot, I instantly went into a discount mode. I literally cut myself down from all that work that I'd done on the self-value for myself and cut it down because I wanted to please them. No. I'm here to make a business. I'm here to make a profit. I'm here to look after my family. I'm here to feed my family, and I will do that. And this is the cost of the business that I need to run. So, in closing, go back, sit down, and do your cost of doing business against your cost of what it would be for your time and value that. And then adjust, create. You don't need to go out and inform everybody that you are now, the most expensive photographer in town. You don't need to do that at all. When I first raised my prices, I never told anybody. I just raised them and nobody questioned it. Nobody asked why. You don't need to tell anybody. You don't need to explain yourself or your reasonings for your price except to yourself and to maybe, your partner. That's it. Yeah. So, my friend, I am wishing you the best in your endeavors for your business, for your photography, and go out, create beautiful, incredible magic, and do it with so much love and so much service, and do it because you value who you are, what you do, and how you do it. I'll see you again soon.